Welcome to Explore History on YouTube. Today I want to talk about a very specific kind of historical source. One that I find quite a bit when I'm out looking at auctions and markets. These are known as indentures. An indenture is basically a contract. It's the legal term for a contract. So this is something which we see quite a bit when you're looking at different documents, and these stretch back hundreds of years. Indentures are important because they hold all sorts of different information. Quite often, when you get them, they are very much focused on business relations or property, which is what you'll see most when you find them at auctions or in markets and things, and you get them. Most everybody have them. If you had a property, you'd have an indenture which outlines the relationship you have to the seller, or if you're leasing it or renting it, it gives that basic legal agreement. So when you look at indentures, they are very much legalese. It's very formulaic. They set down specific information, and also you can see from documents like this one that they're meant to last. They come in all sorts of shapes and forms. They're paper or vellum, most often vellum though, because of course it lasts, and as a legal document they wanted it to last. So this is calfskin or vellum. You can see a very large document. This one's from 1793. Very typical. They always start off in the same way at the top of the indenture, giving you the year. So it might be, by the grace of God, the 25th year of the reign of George II, something like that. So you can date them quite easily in the little bit at the top, and it'll give you then the names of the people involved, and then sets out often the properties or whatever it is that their agreement's about. So in a very quick glance, you can often get a good sense of where they're from, who's involved in them, and what kind of relationship this is, what kind of business dealings or so on that is involved. They come in quite, as I said, many different forms. This one's from 1920, so it looks much different than the other one, and this is just a partnership agreement. So very straightforward, but like the early ones, it has the same basic information. It talks about the agreement between these two individuals that are forming a partnership for a business. There's one in particular I want to focus on today. This is a very special one that I don't come across very often when looking at indentures. This one looks quite different. As you can see, it comes with this large tin, which I'll explain in a moment. But this one is by a George Gerling Capon and a Thomas Oxley. And they have invented a new process which is going to make it easier to extract wine from the kegs. And this one, you can see, is absolutely beautiful. It's got Queen Victoria. There you go. Victoria, by the grace of God, Queen of Great Britain. So this is actually coming sort of from the Queen and from her government itself. And this is for a patent. So it's a patent indenture, which are much rarer than ones on property. Obviously, there's a lot more people with properties than getting a patent on a particular item. It's in absolutely exceptional condition. All sorts of information on it. But what is the real highlight in this indenture is the wax seal. So we open up that can, just protect it. This absolutely beautiful wax seal. So on one side you've got Victoria on horseback, and then on the other we've got Victoria sitting on her throne. So this is a beautiful wax seal, the seal of Queen Victoria, coming straight from her government, acknowledging this patent to these two individuals, and giving them a legal right to hold that patent and to make that particular product. For this one, I believe, is for 14 years that they hold the patent. So this makes this quite special. You do get, most indentures will have seals on them, usually small red seals at the bottom with a signature. When you get one like this, they're quite rare. And there are people that just collect the seals because they are extremely hard to find, and they're spectacular. To think that that's made of wax and it's lasted this long. This one is dated 1876, and you still got this nice seal intact. And so quite a beautiful piece. And from these we can learn an awful lot. It's one of the reasons why I like them. They are quite common, indentures, but not the ones with the big wax seal. But indentures generally, as I said, are very common. They do give a lot of information, and they are one of these sources that I've always found that historians have ignored. That they are of great value if you're looking at business, if you're looking at properties. So they're important for that. But also for genealogy. If you're tracing your family history, these will give, particularly when they're related to an estate, that somebody has passed away and it's the legal goings on of their estate, it will name the spouses, children, and so on who are going to get part of that estate. So it gives you kind of a very sort of good connections between different people involved in a particular estate or a business agreement. And so there's a lot of information can be gotten from this as well. Because they're legal documents, they're very factual. The language is very straightforward, although sometimes a lot of the terminology isn't what we use today, so that makes it sometimes difficult. But once you get used to it, it's much easier to sort of get through and to understand. And they do offer a great deal of interesting information. It can be dry at times. It's not the exciting kind of stuff but you can find all sorts of interesting information about people's business relations, their financial situation, what kind of things they're involved in, their family relations. Lots there once you start picking through them and building, particularly if you have multiple indentures related to one person or one property. Then you can really start to build a story. So they're quite a valuable kind of historical source. One that you find in most archives, but also one that is overlooked. And when you're going to the markets and auctions, keep your eye out, because you can always generally find one of these tucked in a box somewhere that people had in their family related to the property that they had, or their wills and things like that. So it's always something to watch for, and it can be quite interesting to do research on. So that's it. I'm Dr. Scott McLean. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll have more coming very soon.